Welcome to Learn to Sing with Vanessa Conaway Pace, where we're looking at how do we sing, how's best to understand this vocal instrument, what to do with it, and how we can get the most joy and pleasure and effect out of singing with this wonderful instrument called the voice. We've been looking in the past videos at how physically, how technically we use the voice. How do we bring forth a sound and make it travel and make it warm enough that it soothes the savage beast, as has been said that music would do. In this video today, I would like to share another thought with you. The reason for that being that I was sitting here teaching today, and all of a sudden, you know how sometimes there's that little voice inside that says, do this, don't do that, move this over there. And that's the guidance that we get. Well, what came to me was, you're missing a wonderful clue, a wonderful opportunity to use music in the way that you know it's most effective and powerful. And what was being referred to was the events that are going on in the world today and how there are problems and sufferings and people who are needing help in our world. And what can singers and musicians do about it? Do we have any tools in our arsenal that will be able to help our fellow man when he is in distress? And I had to realize, yes, I missed it this time. I didn't miss that clue another time when it came to us. And I wanted to tell you today the story of what you can do with music if you learn to sing. When we know how to sing, then we've got a tool in our arsenal that can change things in the earth. Yes, just little old you, little old me, doing one thing that, they say when the butterfly flaps its wings in Bangladesh, the wind blows in Seattle. Just think about that for a moment, but that's the power of the voice, the intentions that we put out in it. And I wanted to share that with you in some dramatic ways that maybe will give everyone a different idea of why we sing. That was the title of a poem that I was working on a while back. Why sing? Why do we do all this work to learn how to sing, to spend time doing it, to spend the spiritual time preparing ourselves? For what? Does it have a purpose? That's what we want to look at today. Well, I had put my Why Sing writings as an introduction to a poem that I put in volume 2 of my Kaleidoscope series. And this one is called One Great Gift, volume 2. And the poems and writings in this book are geared to showing that we each have a gift. And it's our job to use it for the betterment of humanity. And one of the reasons that we're going to talk about this subject today is that oftentimes when people come to me wanting to learn to sing, They really enjoy singing. They enjoy singing for themselves. They enjoy singing for the family. In smaller venues than what we've been told is the real purpose for singers, that we are to be entertainers in front of large audiences. But that's the furthest thing from the truth, because singers have creative power in their voices. And one reason that we need to learn how to use the voice, how the voice box works, is to understand how we can send messages around the world, how we can send healing energies and comfort messages to those who are suffering. So I wrote the poem entitled, "There Is Something to Sing About." We're not always just singing someone else's songs to fill the role of an entertainer. We have a very unique capability within us to bring some order into chaos and that kind of thing. So I thought I would share with you the introduction to that poem with the message, why sing? Why sing? Why should we go to all the effort to open our own mouths, breathe deeply, learn how to breathe deeply, and freely express our own thoughts and feelings with our own voice, thus making ourselves open and vulnerable to the opinions and criticisms of others? And right there is what stops many people from learning to sing and making a difference in the world. So that's one of the things that we're going to look at in this series of teachings of why sing, of how to sing, to learn how to do this. My thinking when I was writing this book, these books were written to encourage creative people to be creative. Because you know, when you're around somebody who's excited, someone who is creative, and they're excited about what they've done, you catch it. Creativity is caught from that environment, from being in that environment. So we want to bring that out. In this day of personal electronic devices and personal earplugs and protected personal spaces, it has somehow become taboo to actually fill up the air around us with our own vocal projections of ourselves. We might disturb somebody, something. Music has become, for many, something that lives only in our earbuds or streaming through the television screen while we feel empty and stifled and shut down and required to allow ourselves to be pummeled with sounds of the professionals and the noises of our industrialized society around us. We have the beauty of that singing music within us. But what about singing your own song? What about humming contentedly while you work? Or gleefully expressing your delight, like children on the playground of life? Or confidently using your own onboard musical instrument, your voice box, as a creative tool to sing creative projects and ideas into existence? Why sing? You see, there are many levels of using this internal capacity to reach around the world by simply taking a deep breath and bringing out that beautiful message that the Spirit is giving us. There's no distance in the Spirit, so we can send those messages out. And I want to share with you my own story of using that, I want to take you back to the year 2004, around Christmas time. If you remember, there was a gigantic tsunami that hit Indonesia. And as we have today, as we seem to have very often now, people in faraway places from us experiencing hurtful situations, life and death situations, and nobody can get to them. But the singers can, the musicians can. The way we do it is to get the message inside and to project it out and trust that the collective consciousness, whatever you want to call this thing that brings us together as humanity, is going to take the message that we want to go and somehow make it happen thousands of miles away when we're not even there. I was concerned about the people of Indonesia that day, and I felt that people were suffering and that I needed to do something, but what can I do? I'm way far away. And then I remembered when we sing, let's say, worship songs, we know that somebody's listening and that the message of our heart is going to get there. Based on that, based on that we can think something here, and you think about somebody and that somebody, the phone rings and there they are. It's our communication with one another, no matter where we are. So I said, what can I do as a singer? What can I do to help the people of Indonesia in their time of need? And the impulse that came back to me was, sing to them. Aha, so I can. And I had been working with a student on a song from, I'm sure you've seen the movie, from Pete's Dragon, Walt Disney movie. And there's a song in there called Candle on the Water. And I got out my backup tracks and I started to sing with the intention of encouraging somebody, anybody over there who was in desperate straits and needed help. The message of this is, I'll just share a few of the words with you. I'll be your candle on the water. My love for you will always burn. I know you're lost and drifting, but the clouds are lifting. Don't give up. You have somewhere to turn. It's a positive message that I'm reaching out to you. In my spirit, in my inner being, however you want to term it, I saw a person, it was a little person, a child, floating on a board in these tsunami waters, and there was no one around to help. But I kept singing, I'll be your candle on the water. Don't give up. You've got some place to turn. I sang it and sang it. Every time that backup track would finish, I would start it over again and I would sing that message, asking the Spirit to take that message of hope over there. Hours I put that message out. It says, a cold and friendless tide has found you. This is Words and Music by Al Kasha and Joel Hirschhorn. Brilliant words. Words full of heart and hope and encouragement. I did it until I couldn't do it anymore. What happened was I asked the Spirit to show me, did that do any good? Well, somebody helped. It was months later that I got my answer. I heard the story of a man who was from Indonesia. He lived in the place where the tsunami did a lot of devastation, swept a lot of people out to sea. He had survived, and he had traveled to a village down the beach, a good ways away, because he needed to find work. So he went down there and he got himself a room in a place where he could see the beach, he could see the ocean, but he got a job and he was helping his family back home. And he was looking out his window and he kept seeing this little girl every day. He would see this little girl walking home from school by herself. And so he started asking the people in the village, who's the little girl? He felt like he knew the little girl. And so they told the story to him of how the little girl got there. The little girl was floating on a board. As I have been told, there was a good bit of that going on in those waters. Some fishermen went by and saw her on the board and rescued her and took her to their village. And a family took her in and they were getting her educated, but he knew that little girl. And so he asked permission of the people that were raising her to take her back to the village where he came from, just to find out if it was true that she was the little girl. He knew the mother, and he wanted to find out. And got permission, and they went back, and sure enough, this was the little girl that mother had lost back in the village. Coincidence? I don't think so. I don't believe in coincidences. I think that's the power that we have when we sing. When we send loving thoughts to people. When we want the best for this world, and when we think about how to build a better world, how to reach people. It's not just about entertainment. It's about taking your tools up and using the tools that we are equipped with to build a better world, to save lives, to encourage people. That's another big reason to learn to sing. So in these courses, as we go through, we're going to learn physically how to sing, but we're also going to learn to sing. Sing when you're working. Sing when you feel like it's the end of the world and you've got to have some emotional help. It's a marvelous healing tool. We're going to look at all of those things and learn to sing. Not just to entertain, but to become a loving force in our world, to make the world a better place, to heal the people, and to save some lives in far-off countries where they need some help. And from the comfort of your living room, knowing how to sing, you can make it happen. Learn to sing.